Hi sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. If this is your first time of coming across this channel, sweetheart, kindly smash that subscribe button and turn on the notification so you are notified each time I upload. And please give this video a thumb up. I appreciate you all so much, and I am saying massive shout out to every one of you for all the love and support you all give me here. Thank you all so much. You all are too sweet. So today we'll be talking something very important, and it's about white people being scared, because I don't see how they wake up to ask this kind of question. It shows how insecure and how fearful they are. Now, let me tell you all something. They have been living off black people, and somebody got the nerves to ask, how are black people going to survive without white people? And first of all, let me start by telling you all that, man, everything, everything, you forgot to understand that black people build America. They said slave, right? And then he actually went further to ask, why is it that there is no thriving black community? Go ask your ancestors that. When you ask your ancestor, come back, then we can talk. And then this is what CRT and history classes is going to make them understand. But no, they said black history, ban everything black. Black history is violent when they refuse to learn. And that shows how daft this man is, because if he's not daft, he will never come out to ask this stupid question. Since black people met you, what have you guys done? Look at us. Look at us. You keep stealing because that is all you know how to do. You want to keep stealing. And then you come back to ask us questions. That shows how insecure you people are. Because if you are not insecure, you will not wake up to ask these questions. Since Africans met you people, where are Africans? Since you all came to Africa to take away our brothers and sisters off and do so many horrible things to them, look at us. And you got the nerves to come and ask us, how are we supposed to survive? You know what? I am just rolling this clip. We'll come back to talk about it. Let me know what you all think in the comment section. Straight up, here we go.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
The right question should have been, how would the white people survive if the black people didn't exist? Because as far as you all know, you are what you are because of our ancestors. Your empires, those big empires, were built on the tears, the blood, and the sweats of our dear ancestors, the black people. If we are asked who the wanderers are, of course, all fingers shall point at you and your ancestors, because it's only and only your people who came wandering, looking for food and resources they didn't have. They found us seated, contented, not lacking, not lagging behind. Instead, it was you people who were the needy ones. And instead of you asking politely for our help, you resorted to killing us, enslaving us, and stealing from us. With all the evil you did to us after we had welcomed you with open hands, trust me, that is one debt that can never go unpaid. Karma is on its way to your land, and stay rest assured that the European civilization is anytime visiting the mud.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
The real question, the actual question, you absolute racist fool, is how would white people survive without black people? For centuries, white nations, white empires have been colonizing African nations and raping them, extracting everything they possibly can, from minerals to oil to food, everything. That's number one. Oh, those nations aren't providing aid. They're taking everything they can from African nations. Number two, the United States would not be here as an economy if it wasn't for the slave trade. So just shut up. Just shut up.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that being kidnapped, transported to the other side of the world, forced every day to do someone else's work for them without compensation, and are often beaten and or essayed, that may drop the survivability rate. I don't know. I haven't seen the actuary tables, but I want to guess.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
I was today years old when I realized you even existed on this planet. And now I'm mad that the trees give you oxygen. And I'm upset that you were not on a sub with them billionaires.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
White people weren't here originally. White people are an evolution. How can people be so incredibly stupid and racist? You really think you were here first? Your pasty ass nothingness.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
So the fact that certain people think like this is just amazing to me. We got through hundreds of thousands of years before white folks even were a thing. Then it's only about 500 years ago that they committed genocide on the continent as well as anywhere they took us. And while that genocide is pretty much subsided, the exploitation has not. And we'll argue, oh, you had 50 years to do this or that. That's because he's absolutely ignorant of history in general. Excuse me, I'm getting my physical therapy. The truth of the matter is, what would they do without Africa? And if it wasn't just Africa, what would they do without Africa and South America?
As you can see, that man is not very well versed on history, and he is pretty ignorant in general. Otherwise, he would know, how did Europe survive without Africa, Asia, and the rest of the world? The fact is that they barely did. And if we all left now and went into space, they barely would now.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
Bro, we would be thriving just like we were thriving for billions of years before y'all were literally created. By who? Yeah, exactly. What? What? Wenje ungazohlangela. Uyanya. Straight. Udlama Pe0ple. Didn't y'all have your children wet nursing with goats? Before we civilized y'all? In those Caucasus Mountains? How quick we forget, right? Besides the fact that y'all literally, your children, because life was tough while you guys were savage, animalistic creatures. Bro, no. Manu Logofe.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
Y'all be coming for us unprovoked, and it's very telling. Y'all boldness and wanting to be a clan member it's coming out. It's coming out like a demonic spirit. Just let it out. Let the clannery flow. But I have some clarifying questions, especially since you said that black people can't survive without white people because of us being on Section 8 and black people in Africa not being able to sustain their own villages, all without white people being able to take care of them. So I have some clarifying questions. Are you saying that black people couldn't survive on their own by building their own homes and infrastructure, kind of like how we built Harvard University and the White House? Are you saying that we couldn't cultivate the land to grow our own food, kind of like how we grew rice, cotton, indigo, tobacco, other vegetables to feed families, including y'all's? We all know what happened to the colonial society of Roanoke when they were left to their own devices, trying to feed themselves, and they just mysteriously died off because they were too lazy to cultivate the land. Moving on. Are you saying that black people wouldn't be able to survive without y'all when it comes to raising our kids? Because I distinctly remember laws being passed in the Carolinas preventing black women from staying home to raise their own children because Y'all were too lazy to raise your own children. And so you made it illegal for black women to be stay-at-home mothers. Are you saying that we couldn't intellectually think for ourselves? After y'all made anti-literacy laws, making it so that we could lose our lives if we decided to read and write, but we still went on to form our own institutions, using the Morrill Land Act of 1890 to build some of the best HBCUs in the country, where we shell out some of the top black doctors in this country. We can go on and on about this, but I'm pretty sure that one thing that we would do so well without some of y'all is minding our own business, because y'all keep coming at us unprovoked. Now, what would you do if we no longer existed? Clearly, you would struggle to mind your own business, and you would have no one to blame for your mediocrity.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist? Now, some people might think of this as a joke, but this is actually a very serious question.
The truth is, you will always point your finger at black people because that's what you do. That's what white supremacists do. And you, sir, are a diehard white supremacist. You will always be pointing your finger at black folks, and you will never point your finger at white people. You will never point your finger and acknowledge what we've done in the most serious way, without a big fat deflection, without a big fat denial, without a big fat butt in it. You need white supremacy because that's your fucking crutch. So the difference between white people and black people is you, sir, and your people, my people, white people, are morally inferior race because we continue to support, uplift, and enable white supremacy. That's our fucking crutch, and that's why we're inferior morally. And that's why you will never, ever acknowledge all the shit that white man has done to black people today and yesterday. Absolutely no question about it. The black people, all black people would be thriving if it were not for the white man. The white man has stolen every single resource out of Africa, including people. Human trafficking, enslavement, colonialization. They have robbed, raped that continent of every single resource imaginable. Absolutely. If white people did not exist, all black people would be thriving. That goes without question, as would all indigenous people and most brown people too. It was the white man's greed. It was the white man's genocide, the white man's enslavement, and the white man's colonialization that fucked this world up. And that's one thing that white people have never understood, was because of the damage the white man caused. Remember this, the white people, white man, has always been disagreeable in times of peace.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
I think we'll be fine. I think we will do just fine. As a matter of fact, dare I say, we might do even just a little bit better, actually. Yeah. Everybody feels me on that, right? But if the European was to, the white man or European or Caucasian was to just disappear off the face of the earth today, there's a little bit of that Caucasian, that European still in a lot of Africans. All my woke brothers and sisters know what I'm talking about. So yeah, we can get rid of the white man. We can do that. But what about a few brothers and sisters who have that internally? How are we going to deal with them? That's my question. Just a thought, that's all. Just my thoughts.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
We wouldn't have to worry about enslavement or prisons. We wouldn't have to worry about our genius being stolen from us only to make a white man rich when it's ghetto when we do it. Black people alone, again, it's not perfect, but like white privilege, I would know my blackness is not the cause of my problems. check out my friend Dixon White, a white man, his response to this. But it's fascinating. It's very British royalty to colonize the world and think you're doing good because you give a little charity back.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
It's more like, what would you guys have done if we didn't exist? It is clear and obvious. We would have been better off. Better off. Even animals would have been better off. Jeez, even the planet would have been better off. Like, for real, aside from pillage, murder, rape, what else have they done? I'll wait. I will wait.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
No dick to this man. Please just go watch your original video. But I'm gonna say this. Black people will just be doing way fine. Fine. Just like the way we were before your raggedy mofos brought yourselves, took us to, brought us to America. Like, we will be doing way better.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question correctly. Let's see. Everybody in the Bible is black. So, God's black. And there's something like 28 white races, but God only takes credibility for creating 7 of you. So, everywhere you went on this planet, you played the role of a locust, committing mass genocide, mass murder, human trafficking, and rape, and mass pedophilia. So, the entire planet, including black people, would be just fine without you. Because the atrocities, the crimes, and the flat-out disgusting things that your race has done were not committed until your race took power. And the only reason why you took power, because you stole all your gunpowder and the art of using gunpowder from China. You stole the gold from Africa, and you stole the architecture from South and Central America. So you didn't come up or invent anything. You're actually savages. Mass murdering, human trafficking, pedophilic savages. So I think we, the actual original humans, because the word hue means color, man. So I'm a hue man. I think we would be just fine without the Caucasian. I'm just saying, just history. But, I digress. Shalom.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
Our ancestors had to teach your ancestors how to properly bathe and groom themselves. Hell, we still doing that now. I think we would be fine. Trust me.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
This is just another example to many of why I cannot stand you people. Black people never needed Europeans to help them survive. They were doing just fine before colonization. And not just black people, but people of color all over the world. Native Americans, Pacifica people, Asians, you name it. None of these ethnic groups ever needed Europeans to help them survive. But in fact, our people had to find new ways to survive because of Europeans. They took our lands or took us from the motherland. They gave our people over 30 diseases. They slaughtered our people. They ate our people. They tried erasing our culture. They tried erasing our languages. Not once the Europeans ever helped our people to survive. We had to learn new ways to survive. But we were doing just fine without y'all. If white people were to disappear, we would still be doing just fine. Even better than now.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist? Now, some people might think of this as a joke, but this is actually a very serious question. There is nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community. I mean, let's take Africa, for example. The whole world is constantly providing aid and supporting Africa from all over the world, from America, from Europe, from Russia, from China. All these major self-sustaining countries are constantly providing aid and helping Africa survive. Same thing here in America. We have all these programs like Section 8 housing, welfare, food stamps that help out the black community. So it is a real question. How would black people survive and self-sustain if white people did not exist?
Troglodyte male monkey and winter. Is this you? Yeah. You all really think you all be on to something, don't you? Let's get it.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
The same way we did prior to the age of exploration and colonization that saved your ancestors, with Nubian empires such as the Kingdom of Kush, in ancient civilizations like the land of Punt that the Egyptians referred to as the land of the gods. Oh, the Egyptians are not even on this list. Let's get it. With city-states like Carthage that were the North African hub of commercial activity and flourished for over 500 years. That would be longer than the United States has been in existence. The great Ethiopian kingdom of Axiom, while Rome was rising and falling, its influence was spreading throughout Africa from a base in Ethiopia. And without white people, the Mali Empire got along just fine through Western Africa with its crown jewel of Timbuktu, an educational center that it took Europe hundreds of years to even catch up with. Oh, and let's not forget the Songhai Empire of West Africa that encompassed more area and territory than all of Western Europe combined. And my personal favorite, the Great Zimbabwe, that rivaled anything Europe had to offer in 1100 CE. It was a trading mecca. Goods and services were traded there from all over Africa and also included trade with India, China, and the Arabian Empire. Now, you were saying something else.
There is nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community. I mean, let's take Africa, for example. The whole world is constantly providing aid and supporting Africa from all over the world, from America, from Europe, from Russia, from China. All these major self-sustaining countries are constantly providing aid and helping Africa survive.
What you reference is not aid. It's capitalistic colonization, because European colonialism is alive and well in Africa today. And America, Russia, China, all of them are jumping on the bandwagon. Why, you may ask? Because Africa, by far, contains the most mineral wealth of any continent on this planet. Oil, copper, gold, diamonds, all the precious metals are found in Africa, as well as timber. That is why all of these nations you mentioned want to get a foothold and colonize in Africa today. It is not Africa who needs Europe. It's Europe and America who needs Africa. Now continue with some more of your delusions.
Same thing here in America. We have all these programs like Section 8 housing, welfare, food stamps that help out the black community.
Section 8. Let's make this quick, because your stupid ass could have just Googled this. But about half, 49%, of projected base Section 8 recipients are white. About a third, 33%, are black, and 13% are Hispanic. That's Section 8. Moving right along. Next. Welfare. Something else you could have just Googled. You would have discovered that 75.2% of the welfare paid in 2020 went to retired workers and dependents accounts. And you would also discover that 36.5% of welfare recipients are white, while 25.8% are black.
Nowhere on this planet an example of a self-sustaining and successful and thriving black community.
There have been many examples in this country alone of self-sustaining, thriving black communities, but your ancestors could not stand to see them prosper and thrive. That's why you continually burnt them down. Communities like Colfax, Louisiana in 1873. Communities like Wilmington, North Carolina, where the first coup in this country actually took place, when racist white supremacists couldn't stand to see elected black officials in power and ran them out of town and destroyed or took all their property. And let's not forget what happened in 1906 in Atlanta, when white people were threatened by the upward mobility of the black community in Atlanta, and all of a sudden 4 random white women accused some unknown random black men of raping them, therefore kicking off a 1906 massacre in Atlanta. And probably the bloodiest moment in American history when it came to racial massacres occurred in Elaine, Arkansas in 1919, where the black population outnumbered the white population by 10 to 1, thriving 10 to 1. And when that thriving black community in Elaine, Arkansas got together and decided to demand justice with their economic might, what happened? Oh yeah, that's right. White people showed up and massacred them. Yeah, and let's not forget Rosewood, 1923, a thriving black community that Fannie Taylor decided to destroy by saying that she was raped by a black man. And who did they go get first? The local blacksmith. And before killing him, they made sure to torture and mutilate him and hung him from a tree and proceeded to start to burn down a thriving black community. Listen here, you poster child, for why your uncle should have had a better pull-out game on his sister. Black people don't need you all. We did not create the transatlantic slave trade because we needed you. You created it because you needed us. And we will be fine if you cease to exist tomorrow. And I said what I said.
How would black people survive on this planet if white people didn't exist?
The word you're looking for to describe how we will survive on this planet if y'all didn't exist is utopia. Cause see, we bathe our asses on a regular. We have the most richest natural resources. You want to know why you lot send aid over there? Because y'all took a shit ton of stuff. I'm gonna need you to sit down, outdated, expired, moldy Rice Krispie treat, and take a lesson and understand. This is me showing mercy. Ever ask that dumbass question again?
This is all I got from the stitches, and first of all, I am going to start by saying that this is what CRT would have done. This is what proper history classes would have done. But no, ban everything black. CRT, no black history because it is violent. I mean, look at a full-grown man. This could be somebody's husband or somebody's boyfriend. I mean, how can somebody be getting a daft? Okay, let me start from, he started by saying that there is no thriving black community when their ancestors. He should go and ask his ancestors what they did to all the thriving black communities. I mean, prosperous black communities. I mean, each time they see them prospering, they come and do what they know how to do best. Because they call black people savages when they are the real savages. All right, let's get into Africa, because he said Africa, Americans or white people are sending aids to Africa. Let me start by saying that since Africa met you people, look at us. Look at where you all kept us. Where are we going to start from? Are we going to start from our cocoa? Are we going to start from our timber? Are we going to start from our gold, our ore? Where are we going to start and where are we going to stop? Since you all met us, you all call it survivor because this is what they call it survivor. I mean, yeah, you all have to survive on us. And there was a time I heard them saying that they have to protect their garden because Europe is their garden, American is their garden. They have to protect them from the invaders. Who are the invaders? You all haven't even started. You keep protecting that your garden till there is nothing to protect it anymore. I mean, since you all met Africa, this is where you all left us. And the country that got the most gold is in Africa. But that country is suffering till this very moment. Because all you all do is fly in, steal from them, and run away. People that mine the gold are living in penury. And somebody is telling me that they send aid to Africa, whereas it is the money you all stole or still stealing from Africa that you all are sending back. And what are you even sending? The truth is that Africa do not even need your help to survive because we've been doing it all these years and all this while without you. But you all are the canker worms. You all come steal, and they all come to steal and and run away. Until this very moment, they are still stealing. I don't want to face that because if I do, I am also going to bring all the African leaders, those that refuse to understand. But I am sure they are waking up, that they are doing no good to us, rather harm, so much harm. And a full-grown man woke up to ask, how are we supposed to be feeling? Or how are we going to survive without them when you all are living off black people? He got the guts to say, how are we going to survive? When black people were the ones that built United States. Whew, if I start this, it's not going to end. This is where I'm going to draw the curtain. Thank you all so much for all the love and support. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.